Hey YouTube, how's it going? I'm going to show you guys today how to install Ableton Live 12, specifically 12.110 on Linux. We are on Arch, by the way, and as you can see, this is Ableton Live 12 Suite 10.110. We are using real-time audio here with the WineASIO driver. VST plugins are working. Let's put Serum. Yep. And sorry if that was loud. And we can see that we have a project here. And let me just play this back so you guys know I'm not bullshitting. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit on the desktop audio side. So yeah, I mean, this is Ableton. It's working. Alright, so now that you guys know that I'm not bullshitting, I will cut here and show you guys exactly how to go about installing Ableton Live 12.1.10 on Linux through Wine. Alright, so just so you guys know, I have documented all of this on my GitHub, Ableton Live on Linux. I'll have the link in the description below if you want to read the instructions rather than watching the video. I've tried to make this as thorough as possible while not being redundant. So yeah, if you guys want to head over here, that'd be appreciated. And also I have a link to our Discord group. A lot of the fixes and instructions here wouldn't be possible without the help of, everybody that was participating in our Discord. So we'd love to have you join, be part of this group of people that are trying to make Ableton work on Linux. All right, so we are going to be using Lutris for this, specifically so that we can use Proton Up QT, Wine TKG, Valve, experimental bleeding edge compat tools, or runner, I guess. It's a custom build of Wine. Lutris just kind of makes it easy to install these different builds of Wine and not overwrite the main Wine build on your system. So yeah, we are going to be using Lutris. So it should be noted that when you install Lutris, you're going to want to refer to the distribution specific instructions on Lutris's GitHub page. I will have a link to this in the description. We want to be using the system native builds of Linux that your distribution provides. We do not want to be using the Flatpak version of Lutris from the Discover store or GNOME Software Center. I haven't tested that, so I can't guarantee that it will work. Specifically for Arch, you need to enable the multi-lib repositories, run a pacman update, and then copy and paste these commands here to install all the dependencies that Lutris needs. So once you've done that, then you can move on to the next step. So once you have installed Lutris, you're going to want to grab your Ableton Live suite or whatever version of Live you have from the downloads on your account. I'm not going to log into my account because I don't really want to share that, but you're going to obtain your legally obtained Ableton Live installer. And once you have that extracted, you're going to want to click on the plus button in the top corner, click on install a Windows game from executable. We're just going to call this Ableton demo. You can probably call yours like Ableton Live, like whatever version. I'm just calling it demo because I already have it here. So you're going to leave the installer presets and locale as defaults. You're going to click install. When it says wine setup file, you want to click install. And then you want to select a installation directory. It's going to default to a games folder in your home folder. I would suggest creating a separate place to keep non-games. I created because this is going to be your wine prefix, so I created one called My Bottles. And let's just create a Ableton demo folder in here, and this will be the wine prefix for Ableton. So let's click OK. Then we're just going to leave these options unchecked for now. We can always do this later. Click continue. We're going to select the setup file. So click the three dots, and from the downloads, we're going to select our Ableton Live 12 Suite installer. Click OK. Once it's selected, click install, and should start up the wine configuration here. You'll see this pop up. The Live 12 Suite installer will show up. Click agree. Unless you have a Ableton push device, I would suggest clicking on the more options and disabling the install Ableton USB audio driver. Leave the install location as default and click OK, and then click install. And this will take a while, so we will come back once this finishes. All right, so once the installation finishes, this step is very important. I know that you want to hop right in, but do not click launch. We need to do some more setup, so we want to hit close. And then we'll see that Lutris indicates that the installation completed. Again, we're going to hit close here. It's going to show up under your games library. I'm just going to categorize this as software so that we can see it in a less cluttered view. So now you should see your Ableton demo, or yours will be whatever you named it. But we'll see this here. All right, so at this point is when we want to use the Proton Up QT. To install it, refer to their GitHub. Again, I'll have this link in the description. You can get this as a flat pack from FlatHub, aka like your Discover Store or GNOME Software Center, or you can get the app image. I specifically use the app image. I like app images, but I know most people prefer flat packs, so you can get either one. Once you have it installed, just launch Proton Up QT. And once it's up, you want to select the install for location and select Lutris. You're not going to have all of these here. I have some specific wine builds for other games and stuff, but we're going to want to click the add version button. From the compatibility tool drop down, we want to select wine TKG valve wine bleeding edge. This is updated nightly, so you're going to have these like kind of cryptic version numbers. You can probably install the latest one, but with that said, I specifically got this working with version, this one here, I'll pop it up on the screen. So if the latest one doesn't work out for you, you can always fall back to that version that I selected. I'm just going to select that one so that we're on 952.24.820. Yeah, this is the one that I specifically used. So I'm not going to hit install because it's already installed. You'll see it pop up as Wine TKG Valve Experimental with the specific version for that build date of, this was the 16th of March 2025. So once you installed that as a Lutris runner, now we can actually use that as the runner for Ableton Live Demo in here. So we're going to right click on your Ableton install. We're going to click on Configure. And you know, you can change the name here. You probably don't want to change anything else. For the game options, we're going to click on the three dots next to executable, and it's going to bring us right into the prefix that we set up before. We're going to click on Drive C, Program Data, Ableton Live 12 Suite, Program, and Live 12 Suite EXE should be in here. We're going to click OK once we selected that. We're going to leave all the rest of the options as default. We're going to go to the Runner tab now. And for the wine version, this is where we're going to select the TKG Valve Experimental Bleeding Edge that we installed earlier. Again, you probably won't have all of this garbage here. I have a lot of games. You're going to select the Wine TKG Valve Experimental Bleeding in whatever version you installed. Now I'm just going to disable AMD FSR and BattleEye and Easy Anti-Cheat because this is not a game, so we don't need those. For the audio driver, this is important, I'm pretty sure. We are going to select ALSA, not Pulse Audio, because Pulse Audio is absolute garbage. So we're going to select ALSA under the audio driver, and we're going to click on save at this point. So now Ableton should just launch. We're going to click play, and it's going to update the configuration because we changed the wine runner. This is only going to do this one time. And now Ableton should launch for the first time. Okay. And we're going to get the authorize live. I would recommend playing around with it on your system and making sure that it works for you on your specific Linux system. But once you are ready to authorize Ableton, you do want to do the offline authorization with the no internet on this computer. Ableton has instructions on how to do that on their website. But for now, I'm just going to click authorize later. It's going to set up the core library. It is a little janky. You can't really use Ableton in windowed mode. You do need to use it in full screen mode all the time. This is because in windowed mode, you'll notice that the mouse cursor coordinates don't line up with the actions that you're actually trying to do. So once this is finished here, okay. So once that finishes, you're going to want to press F11 on your keyboard to make Ableton full screen. Actually, oh boy, fuck, god damn it. If Ableton does freeze here, you can go back into Lutris and click stop. That will force Ableton to unfreeze. Well, it'll just quit the program. We're going to click run again now that the core library was set up. It's going to initialize the application, authorize later. Yeah, okay, now the app's responding. So like I was saying before, you need to run this in full screen. So click F11 on your keyboard. And this will put Ableton into full screen mode, and you'll notice that we actually have the menu bar visible now, and the mouse coordinates are accurate at the bottom half of the screen. You can actually click on items and they're where they're supposed to be. So yeah, with that said, we are pretty much good to go here. You'll notice that we only have the MME DirectX audio driver in here for now, which is not preferred because you're obviously going to get very high latency. And even if you set it all the way to the minimum, 256 is the minimum sample buffer, and honestly, it doesn't work that good. So this next part of the instructions, I am going to show you guys how to install WineASIO. So we're just going to quit out of Ableton for now while we do that. All right, so next you're going to want to go to the WineASIO GitHub. Some distributions package this. Arch has a WineASIO package in the AUR. I would still recommend building this yourself, but if it's easier for you to use the distribution provided package, then you can do that. I am not going to wind up rebuilding this specifically just because I already have it built, but once you clone the repo, should be in WineASIO here. You can right click and open a terminal here. At this point, you would enter the commands to build. We want to build the 64-bit wine package. Again, I'm not going to enter these commands because it's already built, but once you've installed it, or once you've built it, you need to install it, and installing it is essentially just copying the built DLL under the build 64 folder. You'll see that there's two DLLs here. You will need to copy them from a terminal. If you're using KDE, Dolphin doesn't let you modify the root area of the disk. So again, you would just copy these, and it is important they note here that Wine doesn't have consistent paths on Linux distributions. So you'll actually notice that on Arch, this USR lib folder doesn't actually contain the x86-64 areas. On Arch, it is USR lib wine, and that is where the x86-64 Unix and x86-64 Windows folders are. Again, you're going to have to figure that out for your specific Linux distribution, but for Arch, it is USR lib wine, and that is where these folders live. So, but essentially just update this path for your Linux distribution and copy in the WineASIO 64 DLL and the DLL SO into the appropriate locations. They do have a WineASIO register script. So if you're in the GitHub directory, you will see the WineASIO register script. You should be able to specify the wine prefix. Again, you can get this from Lutris under configure and game options. The wine prefix is right here. So you do want to register this specifically for that wine prefix. So we are now going to, you got to type / and then WineASIO register. Once you do that, it should register into the wine prefix, but I have had some issues with this, so you can also run it like, because it should have popped up with a, like this DLL was registered. So if the wine registered script doesn't work for you, you can also specify your wine prefix. Type in the wine prefix here, and you're going to type wine reg svr 32 and point to the DLL that we used earlier. So that's going to be USR lib wine and Windows, sorry, it's x86 Windows, and then the WineASIO WineASIO 64 DLL. Once you do that, you should see that it registers the DLL. Yeah, so successfully registered WineASIO 64 DLL. So now that that is done, we now need to copy those DLLs into the Wine TKG bleeding edge. If we go back to Proton UpQT, we'll see that install for Lutris, and it tells us the directory, which is your home directory, .local share Lutris runners wine. So if we go there, .local share Lutris runners wine, we will see the wine TKG valve experimental bleeding edge there. And we do want to copy in those DLLs from our USR lib wine x86-64 Windows, our WineASIO 64 DLL. We want to copy this one for the Windows one into this in the runner lib wine x86-64 Windows. We're going to paste that. Oh, right, because I've already installed this. You won't get this overwrite. You'll just paste yours in. I'm not going to overwrite mine. And then we're going to go back into USR lib wine, go to the x86-64 Unix folder, get the WineASIO 64 DLL SO, copy that, and back in the TKG folder under Wine x86-64 Unix, you're going to paste that in there. Again, mine's already here. You won't get this overwrite, it'll just paste in. So at this point, once you've done that, then we can open up Ableton again. And it's going to update the configuration one more time. And again, we're going to authorize later. I would definitely not authorize until everything is all set up and you know that it's working and you've messed around and it's going to be fine for you. But now we'll see in the settings under audio, our driver type, we have two options now. So instead of just the MME DirectX, we now have ASIO, which is awesome because now we can essentially get real-time performance out of Ableton. So yeah, I mean, Ableton should now be installed and working. You're going to notice with the WineASIO driver that you can't change the buffer size here. If you do need to change the buffer size, you need to do that from the Wine registry. So back in Lutris, if you have the Ableton demo selected, click on this up arrow next to the wine glass and click on Wine registry. And this is essentially the Windows registry if you're familiar with that. But you're going to want to go to HKey current user, software, wine, and you're going to see an entry for WineASIO. And we will see preferred buffer size here. The default is 1024. So if we want to change this, click on decimal. And then, let's just say we want a 256 sample rate buffer. We're going to click OK. And back in Ableton, we do need to turn off the audio engine to update this. So from options, you can go to audio engine on, turn that off, and then you can turn it back on. And then now if we go back into settings, oh, never mind. This usually works. I may have, in my version, changed this fixed buffer size to 0. So let me do that, and then I'm going to just change this to a different value just so we can see if that works. Close the registry, open up Ableton, no audio, and ASIO. Okay, yeah, so that is an important step that I forgot. So apparently you need to change the fixed buffer size to 0, and then you can start updating the wine registry. And now we should be able to do this every time from here to 56. And now if we turn the audio engine off and then back on, yeah, now we have 256 samples. So yeah, you don't need to quit Ableton. It's just that I forgot to mention that the fixed buffer size D word needs to be set to 0 in order to change the buffer size from the wine registry. And just to prove that the driver is working, we will open up the demo set. And we can see that if you tried to install Ableton Live 12 before, you've probably noticed that the CPU usage is pretty abysmal. Like if we were on 256 sample rate on any other install, this would be approaching 100%. And as soon as we hit play, it would be a crackly, garbly mess. I am running OBS right now, so it may drop out a couple packets, but if you were just running Ableton, this set should play just fine. So yeah, we got a couple dropped packets again because I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. What I need couldn't get here faster. Chase my dreams just to wake up after. Yeah, you're hearing some packet loss, but I swear if like you're just working with Ableton on your machine, you can, like, I'm using just like a janky laptop right now. If you have like a full-blown desktop system, you probably won't run into any of this issues. Like, especially if you're just working in Ableton, then you should be able to get down to 128 or even, I wouldn't say 64, I haven't gone that low, but if you have 128, you know, for your buffer size, that can definitely help. Additionally, what I found helps is under the input config in settings to just disable anything that your interface doesn't use. So like we don't need mono outputs for our sound card. So yeah, like already a lot better. Yeah, so just, you know, knowing the limits of your sound card, like, again, you can configure this in the wine registry here, how many inputs and outputs WineASIO will present when it boots up. You know, if you have a big old honkin' sound card like an 8x8, this may be beneficial to you to have 16, but I mean, if you have a 4x4 or a 2x2, then you could probably just, you know, reduce the amount of inputs and outputs that WineASIO, you know, presents. Yeah, little extra bit of info. Now, there is a problem with Ableton. If you, no, there's definitely some problems, so I want to just make sure that it's made aware. Max for Live doesn't really work. Somebody in the Discord said that it worked for them. I have not been able to replicate that. So I believe that you can use the devices. Let me just... So you can use the pre-made devices, but if you want to open the Max for Live editor, I'm pretty sure it's just going to sit on Max's starting up, and Max will never launch. And then Ableton will also probably freeze and crash. So creating stuff in Max for Live, I don't think is working. Again, people have said that it does in the Discord, but I cannot replicate it. I am just going to quit out of Ableton here and terminate Max. Now that I have tried to open a Max file, we are going to run into this issue where Ableton will initialize. It'll say starting Max, and if you run into this, you need to set up a script in Lutris. So let me walk you through that. On my GitHub, I do have a example script here. It's not really much of a script, it's just a one-liner. But anyways, you're gonna want to just use this template. You know, obviously replace your user with your user account, and this part, my bottles Ableton Live 12, this is the wine prefix that we were looking at in Lutris. So, you know, you can download the file here, probably just stick this somewhere in your bottles here. We'll just slap it in the Ableton demo, hit save. You know, you want to open this up and edit this path so that it is correct for your user account and your wine prefix. Once that is all set, you do need to make sure that the file is executable. So you're going to want to chmod +x and the script file, and then you can confirm that is executable. If you type in ls-lah, you should see for the script file that there is a X here. That X means that it is executable for your user. So once you've done that, in Lutris, you can right click on Ableton, hit configure, and under system options, if we scroll down all the way, we're going to see pre-launch script. So this is where we want to add that script file. So we'll click the three dots, go back into our bottles, Ableton demo, and click on the script. And I actually need to fix mine because this won't work for my bottles Ableton demo. That is not Ableton demo, that is Ableton demo. Yeah, so this should be correct. Let me just make sure. I do like to work with absolute paths, not rely on variable substitution. So save that. And yeah, we should have that there. And we want to check this box for wait for pre-launch script completion. So essentially all that this does is it just deletes the max preferences file, and that will allow this to get around the problem. So see that we're still hanging on starting max. So we're gonna hit stop. And now if we start, it will delete that max preferences file and allow Ableton to start up. Yep. Yep. So now it's working. Yep, that's Ableton live on Linux. I don't know. Let's turn on our keyboard. Yeah, I'm not much of a computer keyboard player. Yeah, you get the point. This should work fully featured, minus Max for Live. So yeah, I know that I showed VSTs in the beginning. That would probably be a different video, but if you do want to get started with VSTs, you can just install them into the Ableton demo. You'd either want to run exe inside of this wine prefix. Yeah, pretty much that's the way that you do it. If it's not an exe, if it's like an MSI, open a wine console and install the program from the command prompt in the wine prefix here. So like if it's an MSI or something. All right, that is Ableton on Linux. I hope that this helped people. We are getting a lot closer now. 6 months ago, this was pretty much unusable. So the fact that we have these awesome people in our Discord that are willing to try different things to get Ableton working, we'd love to have you join the group if this helped you, and we can all just help each other, because I'm sure that we'll all run into some issues and some of our machines might not be like mine. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
What I need couldn't get here faster. Chase my dreams just to wake up after. Running back, time I wasted, time I had, one after one is a hourglass. All my patience, everlasting, no. Memories I'm diving head first. You know I can't breathe through the sound of laughter.